Whether I'm watching the seasons pass, fumbling a football pass, or sitting on the grass planting biomass that smells like past gas out of an animal's ass.
Say the rhyme for me one more time.
Let's face it. I like my magnolia tree.
Oh, DiLisio likes things. All kinds of really cool things. He'll tug at your heartstrings about nothing at all. Oh, DiLisio likes things. He'll talk and he'll sometimes sing. But you bet your ass he'll shamelessly plug all of his songs. All of his songs.
Welcome, one and all, back to the DiLisio Likes Things! Podcast. My name is Mark, but as you know, I go by DiLisio, and I'm very much excited to present to you in Season 1, Episode 5 of the DiLisio Likes Things, DiLisioverse. You know, guys, I'll let you in on a little something. Starting this podcast has been one of the most satisfying, gratifying experiences of my creative life. Like, I have my music, which I still love, and it's still my first love. That's the thing I'm still going to be trying to push as hard as I can, the most. But I've never really felt like I can really, truly express who I am as an artistic person through just my music. It's just one part of me, But with this pod added into the equation, well, it just really feels like me, capitalized me. My dad all the time, growing up, he always referred to me as a Renaissance man, quote unquote. Like, I dabble in a lot of different interests, music, sports, TV, pop culture, you name it. And I've always felt proud of that for sure, but it's also made me question into which subculture I belong in. And let me tell you, 37 years into my existence, I still don't feel like I belong into any one club. I mean, I played sports my whole life, but I was never really a jock. I've been playing music most of my life too, but I still don't really feel like 100% I belong as a musician in the music world. And in my day job, I'm a freaking school teacher, for Christ's sake, but I've never really truly fit in with other teachers I work with. It's kind of weird to not belong to any one special group. It used to really bother me, but now I think I'm realizing and bringing it back around. Bringing it back around to what I was talking about. Doing this podcast, starting this podcast has made me realize that it's okay. It's okay to not shoehorn myself in any one clique. I never really liked cliques anyways, but yeah, if you've made it this far into my podcast in this season, then I'm sure you figured out that I have a wide range of interests, some very stupid and silly and dumb, some more profound and sincere than others, but it's all very much me. And even though I'll be taking a break from this pod after a couple more episodes, I hope that I can still continue to make it, and I hope you still continue to listen. It's free therapy, if you will. And so with all that said, let's get into today's free therapy, episode. So I have this magnolia tree in my backyard, and it's the most beautiful thing in the world. My wife and I live in this old city house in Pittsburgh. It was built like in the 1940s. We've been living there now going on 7 years, and in the previous owners who lived at this house, they planted this unbelievably beautiful garden all around the house over the years and years of work, right? I'm talking veggies, I'm talking rose bushes, hydrangeas, a massive, huge rhododendron in our front yard. I'm talking a myrtle tree, which apparently have a really hard time even blooming in our part of the country. And of course, our tiny little magnolia. God, I love this tree. Come springtime, it's the very first thing that blooms in early April before anything else in our yard. You ever see a magnolia? It's got these violent, they're violently violet, purplish, pink flowers. They just shoot out when the sun comes out. They give off the most beautiful fragrance you've ever smelled in the wild. Oof, just perfection. My wife Beth always teases me because I'm always saying, I don't have a favorite season of the year because I appreciate the seasons for what they're worth, or some bullshit like that. But I really do. When that magnolia blooms, it gets me freaking pumped for springtime. When Memorial Day hits and the neighborhood pool opens and those outdoor concert dates start piling up, summertime, baby. When football season returns, the leaves fall, the crisp, cool wind rushes in again, and pumpkins pop up on everyone's front porch. I feel soups autumnal, man, and even when that first snow dusting hits, the frosty windshields that need scraping at 6:30 in the morning, and what feels like eternal darkness covers the landscape for God knows how long. Actually, that last part is not great. But I try to live in winter as peacefully as I can, just like all the other seasons. because that cold just reminds me that no phase in life lasts. No matter how good or bad, everything has to change. And it's that embrace of that change which is terrifying, but that's when I feel truly happy. There's a scene in the movie Groundhog Day, which is one of my favorite movies, probably top 3. Near the end of the movie where Bill Murray is giving his news report to all of Gobbler's Knob, and he's reached this point in the story of like this peace and tranquility in the movie after just an endless day after day after day of starting with hedonism, then nihilism, then existentialism, if you will. But anyways, he's given this report where he says, when Chekhov saw the long winter, he saw one bleak and lacking any ounce of hope. But we can understand now that winter is just a step in the cycle of life. My lovely magnolia tree will bloom in due time, and it'll be wonderful. But until then, I'm going to try my best to live in winter, slumbering in the open air, wearing on its smiling face a dream of spring. Ciao. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now, DiLisio attempts to write a song about his magnolia tree.
Okay, so my name is Erin, and I really like new growth in any frickin' form. So, like, the first thing that comes to mind is new leaves on plants. So I can say that, like, I like gardening or I like house plants, but if I'm gonna get like to the root of it, yep. If I'm gonna get right down to it, I love watching something new happen that I didn't know was going to happen.
Sports fans, it's time for Great Moments in Flowers. The summer wind rushes in like the golden charge of the sun's eternal rays of determination. In Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Detroit Red Wings of the National Hockey League on June 12, 2009, Captain Sidney Crosby and the darling upstart Pens were trying to avenge last year's crushing loss to the same team, and things looked promising to fans across the Steel City, including to who I imagine to be a 12-year-old Yinzer sports fan from Danman Hall.
Oh, come on now, Sid. Come on, Gino. On Tanger, on Duper. Score a freaking goal and seal the deal here and there. I just can't take another crushing blow again like last year. Don't let these bunch of jag-offs like Lidstrom and Zetterberg billions again in that. Jeez, oh man.
When, hark, the Penguins' beloved third-liner Maxime Talbot scores not once off a rigorous forecheck in the offensive zone, but then again from a nifty wrister from his left wing post on a 2-on-1 breakout.
Oh my God! Mom! They scored! They scored! My voice broke! Max Talbot scored in that! Oh my God! I'm so happy I could cry! I could cry! Mom!
But the game wasn't over yet. The end of the third period commenced, and the hated Wings made a hard push, firing shot after shot on the Penguins goalie, Marc-Andre Fleury, affectionately known as Flower, standing on his head the whole series, and especially when it was needed most at the tail end of the game.
Flower blocked it! Oh, come on, Flower! Save it again! Oh, he dove right. He stopped Lidstrom's shot. Is that it? Did we win? Did we win? Did we win? Oh my God! We're so freaking want me to cry, Mom!
It was a call to arms, and Flower rose fearlessly to the challenge, nourishing the hearts and hearts of Yinzer hockey fans across the globe, and especially the two 22-year-old future lovebirds who, little did they know at the time, thanks to Flower, Sid, and the rest of the 2009 Stanley Cup champion Pittsburgh Penguins' valiant efforts, had their fates sealed together from that day on until the end of time.
Wait just a second, Mom. Dad, did Chins mean while watching a hockey game down Station Square? Oh my god, I'm freaking gross.
This has been Great Moments in Flowers. Not only do I adore my magnolia tree in my backyard, I've also tried my luck in maintaining a vegetable garden, which is very ironic because I hate vegetables. Onions, green beans, squash, gross. Actually, that's about it. I like others. Broccoli, the strategically placed tomato in a burger or chicken sammy. Kale. I know, fuck kale. Yeah, that's about all I like. Anywho, I've kept a vegetable garden for about 4 years now. While the first couple years I did a pretty bad job maintaining it and weeding it and keeping them damn groundhogs and deer at, I'm getting a lot better at it. In fact, last year I had my best yield ever. I finally started growing plants out of raised beds instead of the ground, which made maintenance so much easier. I laid layers of compost beforehand, which really made my plants pop. And then I went to Home Depot and bought a shit ton of pre-planted tomato plants and peppers, chilies, bananas, habaneros, cayenne. Man, spicy as hell. I loved it. And I felt so proud. I mean, at one point in July and August in 2023, I'm bringing in bucketfuls of tomatoes and peppers every day for a couple weeks straight. Beth and I made them into tomato sauce for spaghetti sundaes in the fall. We made the peppers into hot sauce, or spooky sauce as we like to call it. Man, it just felt so good. Just to put the planning and preparation in during the spring months in April and May. Set up the raised beds, lay them down over good flesh mulch, dump the compost and soil, then plant, then cover them with creature-resistant meshing. See, I just love the feeling of putting in work early on in the springtime, then watching the fruits of my labor grow later on. See, that growth, that consistency, that's what I'm all about anymore. I'm trying to keep growth and consistency as some of my core values over anything else, especially when it comes to my music career. They've been the only thing that's seemed to matter this whole entire time, in hindsight. For too long, I've been subconsciously valuing popularity, stream counts, Instagram followers, stuff that's just been a road that's led to madness for me. Constantly scrolling and getting jealous of other bands and artists, quote unquote, making it while I'm not, it's exhausting. And in fact, those bands have just as many reasons as I do to be unhappy. It's not why I got into music in the first place, as I've uttered before on this podcast. And yes, while I'm not perfect and still get envious a decent amount of the time, I've gotten better at recognizing my own triggers. Those ants, those automatic negative triggers. Recognizing when I feel anxious, when I feel jealous, when I'm not being grateful for all that I do have, like my lovely wife, my beautiful baby boy, my house, my songs, my catalog, and my garden.
And even though it's a plant and you know that it's going to make more leaves, when it is pure childlike joy when I figure out that one of my plants is making a new leaf. It's like we have a Hoya tiny dancer in the kitchen, and it has these giant octopus arms with tiny leaves up at the top. It's a ridiculous Whoville looking plant. And every once in a while you'll see the beginning of the leaf start to form, and without fail, when we are making our morning coffee, we will see the leaf starting to form and have a fucking party about it. I don't know how long am I supposed to go on? Can I just go
this
off?
is amazing. Just keep it up.
Okay, great. So the thing is that I really like when I don't know what's going to happen. And that's part of the reason I love church planting. That's part of the reason I'm a pastor.
Sure.
I really like being surprised. And so, and I really love being outdoors. So when I have my summer garden, when things when new growth happens, like when things first breach the surface of the soil, it blows my mind that there has been like something working diligently at a goal that I didn't even know about or have anything to do with underneath the soil. And now this like pre-programmed like development is unfolding
Yeah.
without my help,
Yeah.
but just like it just knows what to do.
Yeah.
Um yeah, and I
That's an
that's
incredible answer, by the way.
oh really?
Yes.
Okay,
It's an
great.
amazing answer.
Thanks. Yeah,
um,
it good.
that's incredible. Yeah, and it plays right into so each episode I've had has a different topic. So like my first episode, like the title of each one is DiLisio Likes This. So like the first episode was called DiLisio Likes Chicken Nuggets. And the next one was like DiLisio Likes Pearl Jam. The next one was whatever. This one, I wasn't even planning on this, but it's so serendipitous that you mentioned all of that. The title of this
Yeah.
episode is DiLisio Likes His Magnolia Tree because we have a beautiful little magnolia tree in our backyard. I don't know if you ever seen it. I don't know if we ever pointed it out to you, but
I don't
like,
think I've ever seen it in bloom.
yeah, I mean, it's the first thing that blooms in April. So like, this is just kind of perfect. You gave this answer because like this will be released probably in like April or so.
Yeah.
And I'm talking a lot in the episode about just about growth. And like, for me, I feel like the thing I feel like that I get the most out of gardening, which I'm a pretty novice gardener, and I think I always kind of will be. I like doing just kind of the bare bone stuff, but
Yeah.
I really like knowing that I've put work into something that I can just kind of watch the fruits of my labor kind of
Unfold.
have unfold on its own.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of like what you were talking about.
That's so cool. And there's something really kind of nice of what you're kind of getting at about nature is that it makes humans kind of inconsequential to a certain degree. Like we can like in our gardens, we can fertilize stuff and prep the soil and water it, but ultimately it's up to the plant and like the DNA of the plant to make the growth happen. And it kind of makes me feel like I kind of know my place in the universe a little bit more. I don't know if it makes you feel that way.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah, that's interesting. Um, I don't really know if I take it to the metaphysical level that maybe you do. I feel like
Mm.
the action of gardening for me, it's almost I kind of see it as a parallel to what I like to do in my spare time, like especially with music, where I feel like it speaks to my what I really value and like my main one of my main values is just growth and consistency. And
Hmm.
you know, being able to see something that I put time into early on and seeing that kind of grow, based on me like keeping up with it and like weeding every once in a while and making sure it's being watered and things like that. But also
Hmm.
just kind of letting it do its thing. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's super cool.
Letting it do its thing. Yeah.
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 And
And we come in and do a little tending and
right.
see what happens.
Right. Sometimes I feel like I can get overbearing with not letting things completely do their thing and me trying to fix things. And I guess I'm
Mm.
talking, yeah, maybe am getting more metaphysical with not just gardening and
Maybe
oh,
I'm
damn it.
veering into that
Right. I
now.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think now I'm veering into like my people pleasing tendencies and trying to fix situations that maybe just kind of need to be resolved on their own.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, we at the church that I work for, we do forest church, and fall is hard for people to do forest church in because
Mm.
you're just surrounded by the natural resolution of things all around you.
Hey,
Like
yeah.
just this like dying off that's happening everywhere. And I think that it's hard for humans to be around that and to kind of like look it in the face. I have been someone who maybe like would overtend my relationships and my honestly my plants. So which is evident in like some of the plants that I no longer have.
Yeah.
Oh,
I have a lightning round of questions for you.
I love this shit.
Let's go.
Yeah.
And it's going to be kind of all over the place, but it's all about you, Aaron. So just keep that in
Oh,
mind. Yeah, you're the special
okay.
guest. Yeah. Um,
Okay.
I've been, I've been starting every lightning round by asking everyone the the same first question, which I think is a pretty good first question, is what is your favorite color and why?
Oh my gosh, it's cerulean.
I don't even know what
I
cerulean
know.
is.
It's a shade of blue. And this color, I remember the exact moment that I discovered this color crayon as a kid. And I remember I couldn't read yet, but I remember like trying to memorize the shapes of the letters of the word cerulean so I could find that crayon again because I liked it so much. And so that's been my favorite color my whole life. It's this really rich medium blue that has like a bit of green to it, and it really looks like just very deep water,
Yeah,
you know?
sure.
If you ask my wife what my favorite color is, she'll say it's yellow because that's the color of like everything I wear. My car is yellow, blah blah blah.
Fair enough.
But
Yeah.
in my heart of hearts, like little kid Aaron is crazy about that crayon.
Cerulean.
Cerulean crayon.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
so good. That's so hyper specific. Because I would, if you were giving this interview to me, I would probably just say green. My answer's green.
Yeah.
No shade of green, just green. Yeah,
Just
like I'm
green.
five.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that answer.
Yeah. That's great. I was trying to think when you and I first met. I remember like I think there was a Wild Goose Festival, which I've never been to Wild Goose, but our lovely
Right.
wives, Sarah and Beth, and you, I think you all went to the same Wild Goose, probably like the year before COVID or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was the year before COVID because Beth's book just came out
Right.
and Mike, my counterpart, knew Beth and Beth was looking for a place to stay, I'm pretty
Hmm.
sure,
Yeah,
during the
she stayed with you guys
festival.
down there. Yeah.
I think that she did.
Yeah, that sounds
I
right.
want to. Yeah, yeah.
I just remember hearing about you and Sarah, and I don't think I'd even met you guys yet. And Beth was just saying, like, yeah, every night of that festival, you guys would be up for like hours just talking around the campfire, and you were all sobbing and,
Yeah.
solving each other's problems for each other. And it was just a really magical time, in the best way.
That was
Um,
the best. Our
yeah.
campsite was hopping. But yeah, I remember that too. I remember sitting around the campfire and talking about things like our spirituality or our parents. Our parents and our
Mm,
families were a big conversation that Wild
sure.
Goose.
Yeah.
Um yeah, it was like intense in the best way, which is just like the kind of conversations that you get to have with Beth. Um
She's good at it.
where
Yeah.
she's really good at it. And you can just
Yeah.
kind of like unfold your shit and she doesn't even blink,
Uh-huh.
you know? It's great.
Yeah. Well, I think you and her and Sarah, you're not only all really good talkers and you're really reflective and you're introspective, but you're also really good listeners too. Like you just
Oh,
all
thank
have
you.
that really healthy balance of that. And that's just something I feel like all my life I've been around questioners, people that just pummel you with questions over and over and over again. And like
Yeah.
it's kind of in my nature to ask questions, but it's never been in my nature to like truly listen to what people are saying. And just like after the answer is given, though, just ask them another question because that's what a conversation should be. But like, I just the times I've spent with you and Aaron have just been like, oh, this is like being around Beth. Like this is just, you guys just play such good, you know, you listen and then you speak, and then it's just a healthy balance of all those things.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah,
It,
yeah.
I I feel like I wasn't I feel like I wasn't always like listened to as a kid. So like listening to other people has become really important to me. So
Yeah.
that feels really good to hear,
Hmm.
like making people feel that way is a big value of mine.
Yeah, and just to toot your horn even more, I will never forget when Beth got sick. That was probably like a year or so after probably that Wild Goose Festival that she had Crohn's
Hmm.
disease, she had all these surgeries, and you came over to our house, and I just remember sitting with Beth on our porch, and I was out there too, and I just remember you just listening, just it was just really it felt really special to me, and I know it was really special to Beth too.
Yeah,
But
that was special to me too that we got to like be with you during that time because that's super vulnerable, man.
yeah, it was a vulnerable time, and you just using those pastor skills, you know, just perfecting that shit.
Thank you. That's so sweet.
So speaking of which, you've been a pastor now. You've been a bona fide pastor for a year?
For a year, yeah, we just
Yeah.
crossed my ordination anniversary on the 9th.
Right. Wow, that's right. I we went to Trace Brewing, me and Beth, we met up with somebody else there last weekend.
Hmm.
Um, it was that was about a year ago, huh? That you
Yeah,
had your big blowout party there. Wow.
yeah, that was such a good time,
That was a
dude.
great time. I'll never
And
forget
like,
the pickle shots. Anytime I'm around you, there's always a pickle shot.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, there
You
always
know
must
it.
be. There always
Right.
must be.
Right.
And such a like being getting ordained has been was like a life goal of mine since I was a teenager. But like almost like just as awesome was having all of my friends all in one spot. It felt like I got married again. It really did. It felt like a wedding reception where like all of my people
Yup.
were all there hanging out, you know,
And
and having just like a great time.
and what
That
a
was such a good
better,
party.
yeah, right. And like you couldn't have picked a better spot too. Beth and I have been talking about what we're gonna do when we turn 40. So like I'm 37, she'll be 37 this summer. Like we've been thinking about doing like a joint 40th birthday party, and I feel like Trace might be a perfect spot for that.
That would be excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you pick like the median like between your two birthdays? Like
Yeah,
when
so
would you do it?
probably yeah, because mine's in January. Probably sometime in the summer, I would think. And we would
Yeah.
just kind of do
Yeah,
a
because
half
then
birthday in between them because hers is September. So yeah, probably like June or July, I would think something like that.
yeah, that makes sense. And then you can use the courtyard because they have a really nice
Yeah,
courtyard.
right, right. Um, so what would you say is there's I know so many things. I brought up you being a pastor and like you've
Mhm.
been doing pastoral work for longer than a year, you know, just for
Oh
the
yeah.
people to be aware, yeah, that are listening. But yeah, you've been doing this a while.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna plug in while I'm talking
Oh
about
yeah, take
this
your
real
time.
quick. Um yeah, I've been pastoring for gosh, my first my first field placement was in like 2015 or 16. And
Wow.
that's, when I was like an amateur,
Yeah,
kind of a
sure.
thing. But that's still, tending to people. Like I try and recognize that people start pastoring before they get ordained because that's
Hmm.
exactly like what my story was. Um, and then there's all the times when you pastor that isn't even in like in a religious context.
Yeah.
So like before that, I was a outdoor adventure camp counselor, and like coaching kids on getting up on a zip line or a high ropes course. And like
Yeah.
that's pastoring too.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I've been doing it for a while. It's it really is like my passion. And like I was saying earlier, like you don't know what you're gonna get on any given day. And that's the best. And I don't even have like my congregation's pretty young. Like I don't even really ever get hospital calls.
Hmm.
But,
Yeah.
when you're in a traditional congregation, it's even more,
Yeah.
unpredictable. Like who's gonna call you in the middle of the night kind of thing.
Yeah, sure.
Which by the way, like call me in the middle of the night and you will make my day. Like I love that so much. I
Wow.
I
Interesting.
love that. Like being so trusted by someone
Yeah.
that like they trust you not to get pissed off when they call you at 2 in the morning. Like that's more than like trusting someone when you ask them to give you a ride to the airport. It's
Wow.
Yeah, I had a congregant call me in the middle of the night, and I had to control my voice to not be too happy because I knew it was going to be something bad. but I but I but I really wanted to answer the phone like, "Hey," like, kind of a thing, and not like,
Sure.
"Hey, what's going on?" like you have to like adjust
Yeah.
a little bit, but man, I love that shit. It's
That is
it's
so
so
cool.
cool.
That
Yeah.
was going to be, I was going to ask you, like, what is something maybe unexpected that people wouldn't know that you really love about doing your job? And that's a perfect answer to that. Wow.
No, thank you. Yeah, call me in the middle of the night. Call me
Good
with
to
an
know.
emergency
Yeah.
because I'm so down. I am so down for that shit. I've had so many daydreams, especially before I got ordained. I would daydream all the time about how can I get out of bed the fastest and like get my collar on, get presentable and get in the car,
Sure.
kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And just like this is also like an Enneagram 2 thing. Being needed feels really good, but being trusted feels even better, you know?
Damn. That's good. Um, that's really good. Um, my next question was gonna be, what is your favorite sandwich you've ever eaten? But I
Oh,
feel like I need a better segue from that amazingly profound insight that you just gave about yourself. But sure, let's
thanks.
go ahead. What is your favorite sandwich you've
Yeah,
ever
what's the
eaten?
favorite sandwich?
Yeah.
So
And where
let's
have you
see.
eaten said sandwich?
Oh man. I have the sandwich in my head and I'm trying to remember where I was when I had it. Maybe it'll come to me while I'm describing it. But it was super simple. I love a crunchy sandwich. Um, So I love toasted bread. I love a lot of lettuce, that kind of thing. And
Hmm.
it was just a simple like lettuce, cheese, salami sandwich. And I think I made it when I was at my parents' house when I was still living there. Um, I had a manual labor job at the time, and food tastes the best when you have a manual labor job. I really believe that. Even better than when you're high. Like
Yeah.
it just food hits different when you
Yeah.
have to use your body,
Yeah. I
that
wouldn't say
much.
my job is a manual labor job, but like as a teacher, I feel like being around children, it's like as close as you're going to get to having a manual labor job, like
Oh
in that
yeah.
respect. So I'm always so hungry. Like
Hmm.
we don't eat lunch. Like my lunch period is like almost at 1 o'clock in the afternoon every day, and I'm just like,
Oh my
I could just
God.
like
And don't you
scarf
start
down.
early?
We start early, yeah. So I make sure I have a decent breakfast because that's a long stretch,
Yeah.
between like 7 a.m. and 1 p.m. But yeah, I get that feeling.
Good Lord. That's
Yeah,
a big stretch.
it's a big stretch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, well, that's good. Um, can you think of something that you like so much to like the upteenth degree, like to the nerdiest level possible, that you would feel embarrassed to tell most people about? Could be like
Oh.
any hobby or anything of that sort. Like something
Hmm.
that you like so much that maybe not a whole lot of people know.
Honestly, the one that comes to mind is birds.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I knew that
it's
about
bird.
you. Yeah,
Yeah, and I know that you like birds too.
I like birds. I'm a novice bird watcher. You are the master compared to
I don't
me,
know about I don't know about
relatively
that.
speaking.
I can tell because my coworker has done this to me so many times. I can tell what is not a peregrine falcon, like because he thinks
Yeah,
everything is a peregrine falcon.
sure.
Um, yeah, I would say it's birds. Like I
Birds,
grew
yeah.
up with my mom being a huge birder, and she would drag us out into the woods to try and see weird warblers. Just like
Yeah.
obscure shit. Or she really likes ducks. I hate ducks. I think ducks are boring.
I knew you were gonna say you like ducks.
Yeah, I can't do it. I
You
can't do
just
ducks.
can't do ducks. Oh,
I
that is so
can't. Like
funny, Aaron. Yeah.
they're yeah, sure they're pretty, whatever. But like they fly like weirdos and they all have the same face.
They're
I don't know.
clumsy. They're clumsy as
They're
hell.
super clumsy. Yeah,
I
yeah.
like
I'm not
doinked a
into it.
duck with my car this past summer. We were driving through Lake Placid, New York, It's beautiful, like
Uh-huh.
lakes everywhere, and a
Yeah.
massive flock of ducks are on the road. And it takes them a while to get going. And I
Yeah.
doinked one with the side of my car. Of course, Enneagram 9, I like felt terrible about it, and I thought maybe killed the thing. But Beth is like, you just doinked a duck. Move on. It's a
Just
duck.
like the duck.
Yeah.
It's a duck. Exactly. It's a duck.
It's a
There's a
duck.
million of them.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I would say bird watching is the big one. I just you know, birds are friggin' cool, and no one talks about that enough. They're dinosaurs that evolved to fly without
That is true.
assistance. Like, and there's so many different kinds, and I love like bird facts, and especially like anything to do with raptors or owls. I'm down. Like,
Yeah.
I was at a Renaissance festival this fall, dressed up. I wasn't just a bystander; I was a participant,
Damn straight.
and they had a raptor show, where they like fly hawks all over the place
Yeah.
and owls and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And I felt like I was a little kid again. And they even let you like hold them on a glove. It was just like there's pictures of me grinning like an idiot holding this hawk.
That's so
Just
great.
like totally lit up, holding
Sure.
this bird that's like this big, and the bird's like, whatever.
That's
Another
awesome.
human.
Another
Yeah.
human, whatever, just
Yeah.
another person holding me, whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
this is fantastic. I have one final question for you, and it's
Okay.
probably been one of my favorite questions I've asked in my lightning round. And it
Ooh. Okay.
is, what is your favorite physical location on planet Earth? Like a very specific spot.
Oh,
Feel free
wow.
to take a
That's
second.
such a good question. Yeah, I'm gonna need a
Hmm.
second for that one.
Yep.
Man, it's just like so many locations come to mind that have been impactful because Sarah and I like to travel.
Oh yeah.
Um, but then there's like everything in my hometown, which is super beautiful.
Upper
Yeah, you know
Peninsula,
what?
yeah.
Yeah, Upper Peninsula, Michigan. I think that the hometown one is going to take it by a sizable margin. Um so my hometown is on the shore of Lake Superior, and there's two islands, Presque Isle and Little Presque Isle, that are in the area. And when you try to get to Little Presque Isle Island, you have to walk along this beach that's kind of a bay, you know.
Hmm.
Um, and sometimes you can actually like walk out to the island if it's shallow enough. Other people, when like the water's really high, have tried to swim out to it, and that doesn't end very well. Just don't if you're in Lake Superior, dear listener, don't go in over your head. Just don't do it. It's a dumb idea. Yeah. Anyway, but this beach is like, it's covered. The when we get into the beach, it's just huge, tall jack pines that are everywhere. And jack pines are so dense at the top that the undergrowth of the forest is very little. So all it is, it's like a million telephone poles, and you can see through them like a screen to the beach coming.
Yeah.
And it smells amazing. And you walk through the grass and you get out onto the beach, and it's just so calm. Lake Superior is like known for being a really violent lake. But because it's kind of tucked in to this bay, the water's like glassy, and not a lot of people go out there. It's a bit of a drive, and there's so many beaches that are like really close to town or right in town, like why bother kind of a thing. But I think you
Yeah.
should bother, because
Sure.
this one's like it's the sand is like, it's not like white sand beaches, but it's very fine, cold sand. And um I can there's just like every time I go home to see my family, if it's in the warmer months, I try and make it out to that beach because I feel like it's my centering down place, where I like fully reconnect with the land that I'm from. And it's super nurturing. It's a beautiful spot. It's hard to describe. Sometimes if you're there in June, there's really horrible black flies. It's just like
all part
any
of the
other chunk
experience.
of nature.
Yeah.
It's just part of the experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty perfect. I'd say that's it. Yeah.
That's such a beautiful answer. And that's what I love asking people is just like, I know nothing about any of these spots, but
Mm,
when I ask you or when I ask other people, it's like I could just like see the gears turning and I can just see like almost sense the meaning in the place that they
yeah.
describe. That's so cool.
That's
Well,
awesome. That's such a good question.
yeah. Well, Aaron and Jolie, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much for making time.
Absolutely. This was really fun. Thanks,
Yeah.
man. This
Yeah,
is
you're so
great.
welcome. Oh boy, it looks like DiLisio is back for more Magnolia bullshit.
Magnolia, I love my magnolia tree. Oh, I love my tree. At least the time in the springtime.
Well, that's our show once again. What did we learn? Not too much, except that I should probably get them allergy shots because I'm about to be spending a lot of time on my hands and knees out in the backyard, getting dirty and avoiding them damn jagger bushes and poison ivy. I've been getting my ass kicked with that last thing recently, so nevermore. Until next time. And just know, we're all late bloomers in one way or another, so it's never too late for you. Take care there.
The DiLisio Likes Things podcast, starring Mark Jeffries as DiLisio and Peggy as herself. Today's episode was written, directed, produced, recorded, and edited by Mark Jeffries, including all original music by DiLisio. Follow DiLisio on Spotify, Instagram, and Facebook to keep up with all of his latest music. And please make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the DiLisio Likes Things podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.